Melanie Curtis.
Want to make sure I can hear you. Cool. So we are talking about coaching today and what that's actually like taking, like basically removing the veil, right? Whatever that phrase is. I think it's
That's the phrase.
What?
I think that's the phrase.
Is that it? Yeah. Like
Peel back the veil.
I was like, did I say it?
Yes.
Yeah. Like what's behind the curtain?
Yes.
It's a thing because I often feel like I'm not describing it very well because it's difficult, I feel like, to describe what occurs. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing. So I almost want to like have this conversation. So it's I don't know, bigger picture into what we do when we coach people. Like,
no. And this past week I had a new client, someone was referred to me. And so kind of was, checking me out and trying to get a sense of like, well, what exactly is it that you do? And like, okay, cause I'm trying to decide like if I should go to therapy or if I should kind of get a coach. And it was great. It was a great opportunity for me to practice explaining to her what the process is actually like and how it is so different from going to see a therapist.
Yeah.
And it was a great conversation. So I think it's really helpful for people to understand how it's different.
I always say definitely promote therapy as a positive experience.
Absolutely.
Anyone who thinks they need to go to therapy or want to go to therapy totally should. It is so valuable. It is not the same thing as coaching. Like I am not a trained therapist. I am not trained to that level. Anybody that I feel like is beyond my scope of training, I will refer forward. I've done that plenty of times over the course of my career, and I'm happy to do it. I only will ever work with a person that I feel very calm, very intuitively confident that I'm going to be a fit and of service to them.
Yep.
So that's one thing. If I've definitely worked with people in the past who have therapists and use me as well. So like that is a scenario that totally works for me. As long as they have that level of support, if they need it or feel they need it, then that's cool. But the way that I like to distinguish between therapy and coaching, at least the way I do it, is, and every coach is different. That's the thing. Like the way Pam is a coach is not the same way that I am a coach. We align on a lot of values, but her style will be her style and my style will be my style. So with therapy, I tend to say, well, therapy focuses on the past and there isn't usually a goal setting or an accountability element. The major difference I feel like in life coaching is that, we touch on the past, we look at it so that it informs us and gives us a solid foundation of knowledge for what's up, what you're feeling, what's affecting you, what's potentially driving you or blocking you. And then we use that. And in conversation now and looking at values and all of the stuff that we do in conversations, finding goals that then we hold you accountable to taking new actions to see what you can learn and experience newly from those goals. Does that sound fair to you, Pam?
Yeah, totally. And just to build on that, it's like the way that I explain it to people as well. It's like, look, I can tell really quickly if someone's a good fit for me because they're able to actually kind of absorb what I'm sharing and then apply it, right? And like start to actually take the action. And if someone isn't able to kind of take those actions, then I know they need more support. And it's a mind, body, spirit thing, right? So some people may be stuck with some mental health issues that will be blocking them and they need more support than I would be able to give. And I can usually feel that very, very quickly.
Right.
And refer someone back. Because either people can kind of take what we're coaching them to do and do it, or they can't. And so to me, it's a really simple delineation between, when someone needs a therapist and when I'm actually able to be of service to somebody.
Yeah, it's interesting because that is, I would agree. And I would say some people take longer than others to feel safe enough to take a new action.
Sure, absolutely.
It is part of my job, I feel like, to earn people's trust and to really help people feel seen and heard and understood and validated for whatever fears are in their way. Because I work a lot on fear and the feelings and limiting thoughts that come with that and sort of picking those types of limiting thoughts apart, and how do we source and actually instigate and initiate courage, like courageous acts. Like the action is crucial. But for me, I had a client a long time ago who called me and worked with me for the 3-month package. And I found myself as a new coach being quite frustrated because she wasn't taking much action. Like in my view of what she should have been doing as a young coach, I wanted her to be taking more action, AKA I was projecting my own view of what she needed onto her. Now, I do believe in action, and I would agree with you that the people who work best with me are people who are ready and wanting to take courageous action. So that's one thing.
I would also say, sorry, but I would also say we have to define what we mean by action, because when I say action, I don't necessarily mean like quit the job, break up the,
Totally.
you know, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like practicing mindfulness.
Yes.
Like, are you practicing mindfulness? So that's when I say action, that's are you practicing the skills that I'm giving you, or are you not? Right? Like,
actions for sure could be just emotional skills. Like that's the thing about, you know, working as a coach in this way, is that like, I feel like one of the main things I do is we create actionable elements around emotional skills, which can be so nebulous and weird and all that stuff. So like putting like, how do we do that? Could be journaling, could be saying hi to the freaking checkout person if you're feeling socially awkward. It could be, you know, like any number of things that could be small,
micro, like little micro. I just want to distinguish between that, because
I forget what I was saying before. I was going, what I learned from this one client. I'll just finish this quickly. What I learned is that her taking action to call me every single week and give herself the gift of feeling heard and feeling validated for her pain and experiences, that only after I was done. And obviously I'm a much more experienced coach now, but back then I really was like wanting her to do more, you know, which is so not it. Like now I can go, yeah, she fucking was doing it. What she needed was to call me every week. Period. That's what she needed. And she's gone on to do excellent, great things. But at that point in time, what she needed was that space to be heard. And I love that I could give that to her and grow as a coach in that experience myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, micro action is really where it's at, because it's those little things then empower you to do the bigger things.
Yeah, for sure.
So that to me is the secret kind of sauce when you're working with somebody. If they're really, you know, taking, because what I always say to everybody, it's like, I'm not fishing for you. I am teaching you to fish. Like you need to be learning these skills, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I'm empowering you with opportunities to practice things. And then you got to do the practice, because if you don't practice, you're not going to change anything. You're not going to change your mind. You're not going to change your skill set. You're going to change your attitude. You're not going to change your knowledge. So it's those micro actions, the micro practices. And I know right away, and I know you know this too, the practices that you and I know are transformative, like absolutely transformative. So if someone starts doing them right away, they're like, oh my God, like it's so exciting, right? As a coach to be a witness to how powerful these shifts are and these practices are. If someone is practicing them, like really, it's like you can't go to the gym and start doing bicep curls without actually getting stronger. Like it's actually not possible. Like if you actually go to the gym 3 times a week and do bicep curls, and you start with 5 pounds and 7 pounds, then 10 pounds, then 15, then 20, like you will be getting stronger. Like there's no way, right? So like you and I know, if you do these practices, you will get stronger. And so it's just cool.
It's so cool. I mean, and also I love shifting and turning the mindset of it has to be like a big giant thing to fix it. Like I honestly, like it makes me think of, and I go back to the comedy thing a lot, but like I watched this documentary called Dying Laughing. I might have mentioned this before. I think I did on a previous thing, so I'll make this really short. But how one young kid asked this pro, I want to say it was Gary Shandling, and he was like, "Come on, tell me the trick. Like, what's the trick?" And he was like, "There's like, what's the shortcut?" It's like, there's no shortcut. Like, so it's not even about like, so it's both getting that like pie in the sky. If you do something giant, and it's not to say giant action isn't valuable, it is, like jumping out of an airplane totally blows your fucking head off in mindset shift. And that's a big thing to do. But like mindfulness and practicing every single day, that you cannot just instantly gain mindfulness. Like you must build that muscle. And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm standing pretty strongly for this. Who knows? Maybe somebody out there has achieved mindfulness in one fell swoop.
Well, I think some people wake up one day and had a spiritual awakening, but I mean, that wasn't my path. Was definitely a lot of practice over many years, improving my techniques, and then, right.
Yeah. I just like how the small steps are so achievable for people, because it can be daunting to think we have to do something giant in order to make change.
Right.
You know what I mean? When really it's like, no, it's this small thing today, this small thing tomorrow, this small thing, and this small thing the next day, and so on. And that's like building on the goal setting. That's what I do with my clients, is that we set goals every single week and we hold them accountable to taking those actions. Whether they do or they don't informs us as to what might be in their way, what's working, what's not working. And we build on that data collection, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it reminds me, this is a silly story. I don't think I've ever told you or this platform, but I realized probably about 5 years ago, after I went to yoga school and I started getting more mindful, I realized that every time I went to empty the dishwasher, this is random, I'm just telling you right now, this is really
Love it.
every time I went to empty the dishwasher, I'd have this feeling of dread and overwhelm, which is ridiculous because I'm now a grown woman and emptying the dishwasher is not like this big daunting task, right? But when I was little, it was one of my chores and I was forced reluctantly to empty the dishwasher. And when I was little, emptying the dishwasher was like this incredibly daunting, overwhelming. Like when you're really little and you open that dishwasher and you're like, oh my God, there's 2 levels of stuff. It's like the cups and the bowls and the utensils and the plates. Oh my gosh, like when you're little, that like is daunting and overwhelming. And you know, the brain cells that wire together. And so little Pammy wired her brain to every time that you open the dishwasher to feel this sense of overwhelm and dread.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I wasn't aware of it until I started practicing mindfulness. And then I noticed one day that as I opened the dishwasher, I had that sense of overwhelm, that sense of dread. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I realized, and so this goes hand in hand with your story, because the point of the dishwasher story is, okay, yeah, it may feel overwhelming because of the history and because of all of that. And you just put one thing away at a time. And before you know it, the dishwasher is empty.
Yeah.
It's not magic. When you're little, it feels so overwhelming and so daunting. But as an adult, we now know if you just put one thing away at a time, eventually the dishwasher will be empty. Like that's just a fact. That's how it works. And that's how coaching works. It's like if you string together little achievable actions that at first may seem completely daunting and overwhelming, but if you string it together and just do it one step at a time, something doesn't have to be fun to have fun, right? You make it fun. And before you know it, you achieved something that at first moment you thought was impossible. Like I used to really think it was impossible for me to empty the dishwasher, which is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous because it's unconscious. Like I used to feel similarly about vacuuming. Like I used vacuuming as the same-ish story in that like I would always be like, no, like full resistance, thinking in my mind it was going to take forever to vacuum. And so I would consistently avoid it and resist doing it. And inevitably when you would do it, like it would always not take that long. Like it would,
You're like, oh,
it would not take that long every time. You know what I mean? Like for sure, every time. And so I, again, sort of only in growing in my own mindfulness and self-awareness practice, you know, noticing, like, that's the thing, like notice, go forth this week and make conscious note of any time you feel like tension in your chest or resistance of some sort, like your physical resistance manifests, like stop and then text me and say this is happening, or write it in an email and say this is happening, or keep a note in a journal or in your phone and tell me the next time we talk. Some way to start to bring awareness to those things that are behind our awareness currently. For me, it was vacuuming at one point.
Yeah, I've got a million things like this. It's normal.
Totally normal.
That we get wired when we're little to have these kind of feelings around actions and activities. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh my God, it's so funny. That's ridiculous, right? And then you can look back at your kind of story of origin. You can understand why you feel that way. You can understand why it's no longer of service to feel that way.
Yeah.
And then you can practice letting it go, which I know is something you work on with people too. But like once you learn how to let that stuff go, and laughter is a great way, like to laugh, be like, oh my gosh, that is so funny that I get so overwhelmed by a dishwasher, right? And that's funny. And if you laugh, that's actually releasing the tension. Yep. And then if you don't let your mind block it, because that's what happens, our mind makes stories up and then we push it back down because we don't want to feel the discomfort. And that's kind of our survival instinct around a lot of our emotional kind of traumas.
Totally.
But if you can overcome that, you can use it with laughter. You can use, sometimes it's tears, right?
Yeah.
Crying or laughing usually are the best. But you can feel it bubble up and let it go. And be like, that's so funny. And it's so not of service. You know, I'm a grown adult now.
Well, and this stuff builds, like, yeah, okay, we can talk about household chores, but like this stuff over time, like if we're talking about how does coaching really work, like I've worked with some people for multiple years, and over the course of that time, like some people like to have me sort of with them as part of their team, you know, their support team, which is totally cool. Other people hire me for a crisis that they're like, shit, I need to figure this out. I'm completely blocked. I'm in sort of a major time of uncertainty and I just need help clarifying my direction. Like that's a big part big reason why people hire me. But yeah, other people. So, and over time we uncover, it's like it's peeling the layers of the onion, which sounds kind of cliche, but like if we start with vacuuming and we have some success and Mel doesn't think I'm a total idiot for opening the dishwasher being overwhelming to me, oh, she validates me, she actually makes me feel like that's totally normal and I believe her. And that's the thing is I'm always being 100% straight. Like you know what I mean? Like
yeah, you are.
Validating the humanness of that experience of the dishwasher being overwhelming. Like it makes sense. It's logical. If you felt that way as a kid and then you just forgot about it and it's just sort of in your wiring, of course, when you open the dishwasher, you would feel that. Like it makes total sense. So easy to validate. And so anyway, there's lots of different ways and different things. So like validating that stuff, then being able to work from that validated place. Because when we don't feel validated and we don't feel really like okay about how we're feeling very purely, it's difficult to make progress because we still feel sort of that magnifying glass of self-judgment on what we're feeling or what we're thinking.
Yeah, it disconnects us, right? It's that judgment disconnects us from love. There's a part of ourselves that we don't love.
Right.
And waking up to that and being like, oh, that part of me is lovable. Like, yeah, okay, I can. And this person across from me, my coach, who I trust, who I think is awesome, because you're awesome. that awesome person, Mel, loves that part of me and is reflecting back to me that pure acceptance and love of this strange part of myself that I didn't love before that now I can love too.
100%.
And the love, this is more my style, right? The Pam style.
No, it's true. I do that. Oh, 100%.
Love, right? Because that's how when we're like, wait a minute, I can love that. And loving it unlocks kind of the connectivity and allows it to flow and allows it to get unstuck.
So true.
So kind of reconnect with our power. And it's all, you do it in a more kind of, I don't know, your style is just so much more, I don't know, not, you just speak in words that make more sense, I think, to the average person. And I'm more like, I had this whole spiritual awakening thing. And so I speak more around love because that's what it boils down to me. And so, but both of us kind of do, the same things for people. It's just like learning to love yourself and accept yourself so you can be unblocked and you can go out and make magic happen.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely love. Don't you worry about it. I may
Yeah.
not say
Yeah,
that.
no, I know, you know,
I
you
do.
just have these great words for it that I'm like, no, it's just, I just call it love.
Well, I mean, I do call it love too, but I'm very much about the way that I validate is very specifically. The most powerful validation comes in details.
Oh, of
It's like,
course, of
so how
course.
do people feel seen and heard and loved
Mhm.
is that they feel like you really, like, so I try to deliver as many details as possible, and the person can correct me if I'm off point, if I'm
Yeah,
reflecting.
well, that's validation. I mean, the practice of validation is such an important, powerful practice. And, there's the 6 levels. I feel like we've talked about that before, but it's the practice of validation is so key. And that's kind of the reflection back. So we can see the parts of ourselves that we're currently blocked, because that's the whole point, is that we're blocked. And when we're blocked, we're stuck. And so
Mhm.
when we have someone that we trust that can kind of reflect back what it is that we're stuck with, that kind of empowers us to get unstuck and flow.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you talk about the love thing. One of my clients, his name is Rich Heller. He always tells me to say his name and share him. So I do now, because
Uh-huh.
I'm very protective of my clients' confidentiality, because that's a big thing. But
Sure.
he's like, I don't know why you never share about me. Like, please, like, tell everybody. I'm like,
I love
okay.
him.
I'm like, okay, well. So he's amazing. And what's so awesome about Rich is that we met through not skydiving. We met through sort of like an entrepreneur group, and we did not know each other. He was just sort of looking for coaching, and I don't know, just decided to do a sample session with me and this and that. So it was not like he knew me. Really didn't know me. And he told me, after we ended up working together for multiple years, and I just love him so much. But like, one of the things that he reflected back to me at the beginning, like after we knew each other and he really knew my heart, like he knew that it was like real love for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As
Mhm.
someone that I was working with and caring for in my life as a person and human being and friend.
Sure.
So anyway, he told me, like, at the beginning, I was like, is this like chick for real? Like, he
She
told
really
me,
this nice, this
like,
lovable, this, yeah,
yeah, he was like, this
this can't
is,
be real.
he like totally was like, this has gotta be fake. Like, no way that there's someone this energetic and like, with
Smart.
you.
Yeah, you're awesome.
That I took that as such a high compliment. And it
Yeah.
made it, I mean, brings me to tears half the time I think about Rich, because of the real genuine knowing and love. And now he's actually gone on to become a coach himself, because he's so in this work. He actually works with people going through a divorce. So
Hmm.
I'm psyched. I'm happy to share him as well. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that, because I think that a bunch of my clients are definitely on the path to be coaches themselves, because really what I'm teaching, what I'm coaching people to do, is clear all their own blocks. And then
yeah,
once we clear our own blocks, then we know how we did it. And then we can then go and be of service in that way for others.
yep,
And that's, there's really no more powerful gift we can give than to help other people get in touch with their own authenticity, their own gifts, so they can then show up and be of service in that deep, authentic, purposeful, passionate way.
yeah. It
It's
ripples.
so it's
It's an
so ripples.
It's an honor. I feel truly honored. I say this a lot, but I mean it every time. Like, this is how I feel. Like, I feel deeply honored that any person would allow me into their lives and themselves at the level at which they allow me to be there for them. Like,
Yeah.
that makes me want to cry. I'm not
Yeah.
going to. I'm going to keep it together. But that is serious. It's
No, it's
amazing.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I know
And I
you and
can
I share
equally
that.
say I'm that grateful for my coaches and therapists and all of the people that have been there for me in this similar way.
Yeah.
So
It's
valuable.
humbling, and it's so beautiful, and it's so powerful.
Yeah. We could talk forever about this.
I know. I love you, honey. I'm so
I
proud of you. You
love
do
you.
such great work. You're
Oh,
such a gift. You're
ditto.
such a gift.
It's gotta be